What's going on, everybody? It's Colin here. Welcome to After the Flag Post-Race Review, where today we're going to be reviewing the March 7th, 2021 Las Vegas Motor Speedway NASCAR Cup Series Race. Right off the bat, this was a pretty entertaining race full of passing and 2, 3, even 4 wide racing, thanks in part to the 550 horsepower tapered spacer, high downforce aero package that NASCAR is now running at most mile-and-a-half racetracks. William Byron ended up holding on to the lead for lap 1, later on falling out, but 6 laps in he was still holding the lead, with it being Byron, Elliott, Larson, Hamlin, Truex, Keselowski, McDowell, who stayed up in the top 10 for a decent amount of time, and Bell, Kurt Busch, then Harvick. 15 laps in, Byron leads Elliott by about a third of a second. 10 laps of the competition caution. Elliott then later takes the lead with about 5 laps to go to the competition caution at lap 20. When the competition caution came out, Elliott was leading, but he was leading Larson, no longer Byron. The leaders did pit under this first competition caution. Larson was the first one off, then Hamlin, Truex, Keselowski, Bowman, Byron, Elliott, Logano, Kurt Busch, and Blaney for the top 10. Back to green with 30 laps complete. Larson ended up getting the lead. There was 50 laps remaining in stage 1 at this point. Hamlin ends up making the pass and getting to the lead at this point. Kevin Harvick ended up falling back. Now, he had fallen back out of the top 10 pretty quickly in this race. Obviously, Stewart-Haas as a whole, that team had some problems this go-around from Las Vegas. They fell back. None of them finished all that well. Kevin Harvick even went a lap down, which isn't too common. There was tons of smoke under the hood of the 23, Bubba Wallace Jr. They ended up having an oil problem with the car. They ended up going like 5 laps down, but they did work their way back a little bit. Later on, there was a caution for debris after Larson regained the lead. Leaders pit again. Hamlin was off first, followed by Elliott, Keselowski, Bowman, and Blaney. Larson did not pit and remained the leader. They went back to green with 51 laps complete. Larson holding on to the lead. He was later passed by Joey Logano. Keselowski then made a pass on Logano. Then Logano passed back on Keselowski. Lots of battling between teams here. There was issues between Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., which has been a continuation. I feel like for the last season and a half, they've had some beef with each other. But with 20 laps going in stage 1, Logano, Elliott, and Keselowski, Larson, and Blaney were the top 5 running order. Elliott ends up taking the lead away from Logano with 9 official lap changes up to this point. Keselowski ends up making another pass back into the front, and Elliott makes a pass on him a few laps later to get back in front for the 3rd time of the race and lead some laps. Elliott, Keselowski, and Blaney were separated by about half a second. 4th place, Hamlin is about 4 seconds back. So the top 3 there at this point in the race, they got a huge run on the majority of the field for this aero package. It's hard to get far ahead with the high downforce, low horsepower aero package. Personal opinion, I think they should run high horsepower, high downforce, or low horsepower, low downforce. I think both of them combined doesn't really equal a good thing. Keselowski ends up back in front with the last lap of stage 1 and ends up leading the final lap and winning stage 1. So Keselowski wins stage 1 at Las Vegas, adding 10 stage points and some playoff points to his total for the season, chasing towards another championship. So the caution's out at the end of stage 1. Off pit road at the end of stage 1, we got Hamlin, Keselowski, Bowman, Blaney, DiBenedetto, Logano, Byron, Bell, and Larson. All of those guys ended up having a relatively decent race. Green flag for the start of the 2nd stage. There was 87 laps complete with Hamlin and Keselowski up front. If anyone cares, Josh Bilicki went to the garage just prior to this. Keselowski ends up battling back to the lead, but Larson perseveres and gets back by him again. With 115 laps complete, the top 5 is Larson, Byron, Keselowski, Blaney, and Hamlin. Jumping to 40 laps left in stage 2, Larson leads Byron by about a half a second, where green flag pit stops start to begin, which starts with, as far as the lead pack goes, Larson, Byron, Reddick ends up going in. McDowell ends up staying out to be the leader. He runs a long time. Ultimately, I think this ended up hurting him a little bit. Later on in the race, he did end up losing, going a lap down. He was a couple cars too far back to get the free pass, with 20 laps left in stage 2. Now, after when they pit, like I said, they did fall back. They didn't end up getting back in the lead lap. After pit stops had cycled through completely, it was Larson with a 5.6 second lead over Keselowski. That was the largest lead of the entire race. No one was able to lead by that much. Like I said, with this aero package, With 2 laps remaining in Stage 2, Larson led Keselowski by about 3 seconds. Now, I personally thought at this point that Larson was just kind of lifting off the throttle a bit, taking care of the car with such a lead. And when the caution came out to end the stage, Larson did end up winning Stage 2, followed up by Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Byron, Blaney, Bowman, Bell, Truex, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Larson, Hamlin, Bowman, Truex, Bell were off pit road first under this stage caution. Final stage goes green with 100 laps remaining. Top 10, here you come. We got Larson, Hamlin, Bowman, Truex, Bell, Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Blaney, Elliott, Byron in the top 10. Now, Kurt Busch was running competitively early on, but he ended up falling out of favor later on in the race. Caution did come out. It was brought out by Chase Elliott. It was a heck of a save. He spun all around, got it back straight. It was quite impressive. Green flag came back out with 93 laps remaining from Las Vegas. Hamlin was leading Larson at that point, with Truex close behind. Kyle Busch had worked his way up into the top 5 as well. Another caution came out for debris. Nothing major happened, no big shakeups from that one. They went back green. Larson did pit, grabbed 4 tires. He fell back a bit. Ended up being Hamlin, Truex, Blaney, and Byron and Bell in the top 5, battling it out with 83 laps to go. Truex ended up making the pass on Hamlin, but Hamlin ended up making the pass back on Truex, and this is where the battle between them comes into play. They were racing each other pretty hard here with the amount of laps remaining. It was near the end of the race, but there was still over 60 laps to go. Larson battles through the pack, however, works his way back up to the top 5, and ultimately back to the lead with 61 laps to go. Larson expands his lead on Hamlin to 1 second, then Keselowski, Truex, and Blaney. So big lead for Larson. Everyone still needed to stop for gas and tires. A lot of them grabbed tires as well. Larson ends up expanding the lead to 1.2 seconds. However, now that lead is on Keselowski as Hamlin has fallen back. Green flag pit stops begin. Ricky Stenhouse pits from 14th. He was the first one down pit road. Later on, a couple laps later, Larson was to pit. And with 40 laps to go, Suarez and Custer stayed out. They stayed out hoping for a caution. I will say, Suarez, I've been quite impressed with him this season. Considering he's racing for a new team, it's not easy to get good finishes, yet they've managed to get some decent ones. Unfortunately, this strategy ultimately didn't work out, where Suarez pits with 32 laps to go. Custer had pit a few laps prior. Ultimately, they ended up losing the lead lap. Unfortunately for the Wood brothers, they ended up having an issue with their gun. They were only able to change 3 out of 4 tires. Like I said, the gun broke on the left front, which, quote from their Twitter page, "Gun broke on the left front, so this is going to be awful, plain and simple, no two ways about it. We were running 9th before, so let's just remember that part." So I do want to say a lot of people have been casting a lot of shade at Matt DiBenedetto. He's done a good job with what he's been dealt. He just had bad luck with the team. They were running good today. That shows some speed, so don't give up on him yet, turning it around later on in the season. With 28 laps to go, now nearing the end of the race, it was Larson, Keselowski, Hamlin, Truex, and Kyle Busch in the top 5. And then with 21 laps to go, Larson had stretched his lead to over 2.4 seconds on Brad Keselowski in second place. 15 laps to go, he stretched it out a little bit more to 2.8 seconds. Top 5 at this point goes Larson, Keselowski, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Blaney, Truex, Bell, Byron, Logano, and Jones. It's top 10, I apologize. Kyle Busch ends up moving around Hamlin for third place. I apologize on that one. 6 to go. Larson lead is up to 3 seconds over Keselowski. 2 laps remaining. It's all Larson. Now, Larson dominated, and he really dominated in this last stage, getting another decent lead here of about 3 seconds. So, white flag comes out at this point for Kyle Larson, as you can now see the clip playing. And coming off of a very turbulent last year and a half for him, Larson's able to march back to victory in the NASCAR Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It was his first Cup win since Dover in October of 2019. Keselowski ends up finishing second, really putting some good points to his race season. Now we're going to read you off the unofficial points standing here. They're still unofficial at the point of recording this video. We're just going to read you the top 10. First place, this is on points. We got Denny Hamlin of 187, followed by Brad Keselowski of 149, Kyle Larson of 147, Chase Elliott 139, Christopher Bell 138, tied with Logano at 138 as well. Kevin Harvick fell to 136. He fell back a bit, 2 positions. Martin Truex Jr. following up Harvick in 8th place with 131. McDowell Fell a bit, but still a really good season going on for him with 126 points. That was his first race outside of the top 10. Kurt Busch, he made a fall as well. Race didn't go well for Kurt Busch or Ross Chastain. They both had some trouble. The team has some stuff to work out, obviously. Kurt Busch with 122. We'll actually read back to the top 15 here. We got William Byron, Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney rounding out top 15 with 91 points. Those are the unofficial points. They do have the ability to change, but as of now, that is what it is. Top 15 for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway race as well. I'll read out to you guys. We had Larson in first, Keselowski in second, Busch, Kyle Busch, in third, Hamlin in fourth, Blaney in fifth, Truex in sixth, Bell in seventh, Byron in eighth, Logano in ninth, Eric Jones in 10th. Great run for him. 47, 11, 3, 12, 9, 13, and 17, 14, 37, 15. Just conserving some time here to keep the video short. But anyways, guys, that sums up the race. Let me know what you thought about it. And now, for our review of the race, let's give it our points. The 2021 March Las Vegas Motor Speedway race in the NASCAR Cup Series. Drumroll. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was a pretty good race, full of passing. I would debate bumping it up to 8. You know what? We're going to bump it up. We're going to give it an 8.5. I mean, what more can you ask for? I'm going to bump it to 9. I'm going to go with 9. Sorry about the lots of speculation there. It was a pretty good race. I'm not a massive fan of the high downforce on the low horsepower. I think there should be high horsepower and high downforce. But I'll take my personal bias out of it and list this as a 9 out of 10 race. Really good race. Congrats to Kyle Larson. Comeback season for him. He's doing great. He's locked in for the playoffs. He's probably going to be a NASCAR Cup Series championship contender. So guys, thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the first After the Flag post-race review video in over like 2 years. I apologize. It's been a long time. Be sure to leave a like and follow the page. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done so already. It's a NASCAR racing channel. If you like NASCAR and you like racing, like this channel. We do iRacing, NASCAR news, NASCAR crashes, discussion videos like this, whole bunch of it. So sure to click the notification bell so you know every single time I go live. And I thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.